Hi everyone, this is Mr. Jolliffe here for one of two extra examples on our notes for transformation rules. So here we have a figure ABCDE, a pentagon, and we want to check what transformation will take this and turn it into ABCDE prime. So we have three transformations that we should check. This transformation could be a translation, it could be a reflection, or it could be a rotation. So let's go down the list. For translation, I know that the original object, so this object here in the upper right corner, will slide around the coordinate plane, but its orientation will always be the same. Meaning, if in the original image, D is at the top, in the new image, D should also be at the top. But look at where D prime actually is. We've switched from D's on the top of the figure to D's on the bottom. That's not a translation because orientation changed. And we know that translations preserve orientation. So 1 out of 3 checked. Now we're going to move on to reflections. Reflections are about a line of reflection, and the only way to get from the upper right corner to the lower left corner is to fold about a line that passes diagonally through the origin. So let me pull my ruler up and center it right here, halfway between A and A prime. And I'm going to sketch our mirror. And what we're going to do is check that those points reflect straight across the mirror. So let's start with point A. Here's A. If I go straight across that mirror to A figure here, I end up at A prime. That works. A to A prime. Next we check B. If I start at B and go straight across, I should end up at B prime, but I don't. I'm at E prime. That's not a reflection. If it was, this down here would be B prime. So we know that it has to be a rotation. That is not how you spell rotation, Mr. Jolliffe. Let's try again. There we go. Has to be a rotation. So our next question is, how do we figure out how to describe that rotation? And we learned today two pieces of information: the center of rotation and the angle for rotation. Starting with the center, that's been labeled for us. It's halfway between A and A prime, and it's right in the middle of the axes. That's our origin, 0, 0. We must have performed this about the origin. The next thing I notice is that starting at A and turning about the origin, I go from quadrant 1 to quadrant 3. That's a full 180-degree turn. So I must be rotating by 180 degrees. We learned today in our notes that when it's a 180-degree turn, it doesn't actually matter if I label it counterclockwise or clockwise. I'll end up in the same spot either way. So I'm going to do what most mathematicians do and default to counterclockwise. The last thing that we should do is check that we did this correctly. So let's erase some of our drawings on the board And let's refresh our memory for the rules. Oops, sorry. Nope, give me my pen back. There we go. The rules for that transformation. So looking at our table, I can see that for reflections of 180 degrees, x, y in the original picture, the pre-image, becomes negative x, negative y in the final image. So let's track a point and check that that works. So I'm going to track point B. So here's B. Here's B prime. So starting with B, I start at the center of rotation. I count over 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I count up 1, 2. So our original x is 4, 2. That's where our point is relative to the center of rotation. Now we're going to check, does that give us the same thing in the new figure? So starting at the center of rotation, I have to go back 1, 2, 3, 4, and down 1, 2. So minus 4, minus 2. And we check. X became minus x. Y became minus y. So that does actually work. Let's check this in GeoGebra. So I'm going to pull up my GeoGebra window, and you can see that I've got the pre-image, the original pentagon, A, B, C, D, E. And what I want to do is rotate that about the center 0, 0. So I'm going to put a point at the origin. That represents our center of rotation. And then I'm going to scroll down and look for transform and rotate around a point. And when I click that, it says select object and center point. So object, center point, and we want to do 180 degrees counterclockwise to check that we get the image correctly. And look at where our answer shows up. Exactly where we expected it to be based on our notes. So that means our description back here in our work of a center of 0, 0 and a rotation of 180 does take this figure and put it down here. All right, if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you in our next example.